Coming up this weekend, an interesting matchup at flyweight. Yes, flyweight. We have Michelle Waterson, the Karate Hottie, the former Invicta 105-pound champion, that's atomweight, taking on the former Jungle Fights bantamweight champ, Amanda Lemos. And when we look at this fight, for Michelle Waterson in the UFC, she's had one prelim fight. It was against the now former, she was the former champ then, but now she's the current champ, Carla Esparza. You look at it for Michelle Waterson, the resume is very impressive. She's beaten good fighters. She's lost to very good fighters. But I look at this overall, Matt. 4 main events, 1-3 in those main events. The one win is a split decision over Angela Hill. And she's had one co-main event slot as well. For Waterson, one of the more well-known fighters in the UFC. She was originally supposed to take on Amanda Lemos a few months ago. She posted to Instagram. It was a little cryptic. She wouldn't really say what happened. She just basically said, I have an injury. If I went any further with training and fighting, it could be career-ending, so I'm going to take time to clean it up. So then I listened to an interview 2 weeks ago with Middle Easy. Try and guess who did the interview. I'll save you the suspense. It was James Lynch, and James Lynch asked about the interview. And she gave the same answer, which gives me a little bit of pause that she wasn't talking about it. Topology says knee injury, but I don't know exactly what it was, so I won't speculate too much. But she doesn't talk about it. She's incredibly cryptic, which is kind of weird. For Waterson, you look at the 5 on in, it is 2-3. But again, consider that a lot of 5-round fights. You look at the wins. Karolina Kowalkiewicz about 3 years and 3 months ago. Lost to Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Lost to Carla Esparza by split decision. Beats Angela Hill by split decision her last time out at 125, oddly. About a year ago, she loses to Marina Rodriguez, and she didn't have a lot of success. She was on the back foot about 95% of that fight.
And Amanda Lemos is like Marina Rodriguez if she had less volume and way more power. I don't know how Michelle Waterson wins this fight, and I normally don't like saying that in our videos, but this could just be like an exercise for our commenters, or really just the community, to also bring up reasons why they think Michelle Waterson's gonna win, because that bullshit sidekick ain't doing shit to Amanda Lemos, because Amanda Lemos doesn't care about how much power you have. She has 5 times as much. Now, that did catch her against Jessica Andrade. She basically ran at her, pulled her head down, and submitted her. But no one can do, people don't realize this when I say it. Jessica Andrade is a Hall of Famer. She's not just a Hall of Famer. She's easily one of the greatest women's MMA fighters of all time. Probably top 3 if we're being completely honest with ourselves. She's fought in every women's weight class other than featherweight because it's not a real division, and had real wins in each and every one of those weight classes against number 1 contenders.
The UFC doesn't have her featured at pay-per-view cards and fight night cards doing this, being like, hey, it's Jessica Andrade. She's a big deal. Big deal.
And when she fought Joanna for the title at 211, that was a really big fight at the time. And that's what I always go back to with Michelle Waterson. When she was in her prime, it was when there was that 3-headed monster of the division. It was when Joanna, Weili, and Rose were going back and forth, just switching the title between themselves, and Andrade would jump up and have a chance at it too. It's just those 4 fighters were head and shoulders ahead of Michelle Waterson. And I don't like saying that, it's just the truth. Those are 4 genuine championship quality fighters that Waterson did feel like she was almost stagnant with her own progression during that time. I never felt like Michelle Waterson really improved on her game after she had left Invicta, and you have to remember, she was so young in her career when she did come over to the UFC that now she's, 36 years old? When we were first talking about Michelle Waterson, when she had that Fox main event against Paige Van Zant, she was in her late 20s, early 30s, and people really thought that she was going to be one of the future faces of this division. She's had a lot of memorable fights, but like you bring up with her main event record, she is only 1-3 in main events, and you only get main events when you fight the best fighters of your division, so that kind of tells you where Michelle Waterson fits with the other elite fighters of flyweight and strawweight.
Well, and I look at it for Waterson, she's somebody that trained out of Jackson Wink, then kind of trained adjacent to Jackson Wink, now back at Jackson Wink again. And to bring it back to James Lynch's interview with her a couple of weeks ago, he asked her a question about training with Amanda Lemos, because Lemos had spent some time at Jackson's. And, to paraphrase, she basically said, yeah, Amanda was really strong, but that was a long time ago, whatever. When I hear Amanda was very strong, Amanda Lemos used to be a bantamweight, had that wicked fight against Leslie Smith where she gets finished, and then slowly drops down to 115, beats Mizuki, wins these fights, beats Montserrat Conejo, beats fighters that she should beat, and then obviously loses to Jessica Andrade. But when I do look at this, she had that really close fight against Angela Hill too, and you could have made an argument that if the first round was a 10-9 and Hill won that Hill won that fight, but Hill has an argument against both these fighters. Regardless, the fact that Lemos is stronger, that this one's at 125, that Michelle Waterson, is not going to go for her own takedown. She has decent jiu-jitsu, but it's more defensive to get out of bad spots, to get back up to her feet. She's got the side kick, she's got the volume, but if she's on the back foot against Lemos, I have a hard time. I think she has a better opportunity in a 3-round fight in this atmosphere than she does in a 5.
I'm going to disagree. I just want to say...
Just a second. This one being in a cage that's going to be normal size in Long Island, that could also play to her advantage as well. You never know.
I got to be honest. I think in a 5-round fight, it wouldn't be enough for me to pick Waterson, but I do think that would be more towards her style. Just when you watch the way Lemos was struggling with the impact, or just the overall output of Angela Hill, I do think that Lemos is going to tire, as a lot of her fights are going to progress, whereas Waterson, it might not be these flashy strikes that are doing a lot of damage, but at least she is active enough in those last 2 rounds to where I think she could make it a little bit more competitive. I just have no idea how Michelle Waterson stops the forward pressure of Amanda Lemos, because I know both these fighters are strawweights, if we're being honest, but Lemos is going to match up physically to a lot more flyweights than Michelle Waterson will. Michelle Waterson looks undersized at strawweight, if we're being very honest. Like, her fight against Rose Namajunas was super one-sided, and it was because, A, Rose is very good, of course, but Rose head kicks her, takes her down, gets her back. She really just dominated in every area of that fight. And the fact that I've seen Michelle Waterson struggle with not just power-oriented strikers, but very technical strikers in the past, makes me think that unless, like you did, her little front kick there to the side is able to just get off and she can bounce on her back foot and keep her head out of danger, I think Amanda Lemos, like, this is her fight to lose.
Robert Paul Champagne, get off! Matt, when it comes down to this one, Waterson also said to James Lynch, and I want to make sure that I mention this one, talks about her movie career that's blossoming. She's going to be in the movie Havoc on Netflix with Tom Hardy.
I like Tom Hardy.
She got training in over in Wales when they were getting ready for that one, but I don't like that. Matt, the odds in this one, Lemos is a favorite. She opened -400, -380 right now. For Waterson, open +300, +288. We have a look at the Topology votes. Surprised that's there to you. A lot more fans of Michelle Waterson, but I'm going to say over under 65% Lemos.
I think that's a good place to set it. I'll say over, but not by much.
Oh boy, 767 total votes, 85% for Amanda Lemos, 67% by decision, 23% by knockout. For the 15% that have Waterson, 80% by decision. Matt, both of us going with Amanda Lemos.
Without a doubt.
Not leaving much to the imagination. Matt, I'd like to hear from the commenters down below. Michelle Waterson, 4 main events, 1 co-main event. She's had 1 prelim spot and many main card spots, even main cards on pay-per-views as well. So a big-time opportunity for both of these women to get a win on ABC down in the États-Unis. Matt, a big opportunity in this one, and a big-time main event. We have Brian Ortega taking on Yair Rodriguez. You're not going to want to miss this. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.